Alright, hello, my name is Mohammed, and I am filming this, or recording this actually, to record a project or a milestone in my journey in programming. I've created a framework that displays 2D graphics using a bit of libraries and building it from scratch in OpenGL. The main use of this library, as mentioned, you can find this library, of course, in my GitHub account. Is github.com/mohammedgd slash Playground2D. This is the name of the framework that I created. Right. So this framework is main uses is to actually have a learning experience. I created this mainly, as you can see. I've also mentioned this. This framework is not intended for creating a distributable software. This framework is only tested on Windows OS and only works there because I didn't make it cross-platform because I only work on Windows, as you can see. And yeah, so it was a learning experience, like I mentioned, and I learned a lot from it and how to package and create a framework and how to use libraries in different ways and how to program it and how to actually abstract classes and create something entirely new, something for me, something that I can understand and I can teach as well because only me I know it because I'm the one who built it. And it's not that big of a framework, but I'm actually quite satisfied with it. So the regular you can do just copy whatever the SSH key or HTTPS if you don't have an SSH key, and go wherever you want. Open git bash like I did here, and clone the repository like I just did. Git clone and get inside it. Git cd. This is the directory Playground2D, and if you open it, the way I make it distributable is that I'm using premake. As you can see, premake. I grabbed everything. I didn't want to miss anything. So, for example, this example is not necessary, but I grabbed it anyway. So I'm using premake, and the way I'm creating it, let me first show it to you. Edit. Alright. So it calls premake and in premake 5 and executes VS 2019 upon it. The way that it does that, because I've already have a premake 5.lua, and this one is the one that configures everything for the project. So let me just open it. Sorry, taking a while because computer isn't that good, but it's sufficient enough to create anything I want. As you can see, this is a Lua directory. Let me just set it here. It's a Lua file, sorry. Creates a playground workspace, creates a solution file for VS 2019. And I'll show you how to configure it to create your own version, or even code block or anything like that. But the way I'm doing it, I don't think it's sufficient for code block because I'm using some things that are necessary for Visual Studio. So I recommend that you only create it using Visual Studio of any version. And the way to configure it is that I already have it in the documentation that I wrote for the framework. If you open it up in PG2D docs, Playground2D docs, you can see first page it takes you to is the installation page. As I explicitly mentioned here, Playground was written originally as a learning experience to be used as a learning tool to perform algorithm in a visual manner. Algorithms. I wrote Playground2D with minimum knowledge in writing framework and a small experience with graphics programming. I only watched like the Cherno OpenGL. If you ever saw it, let me show you. If it opens. Like before I ventured into this, before I started actually learning OpenGL, I only watched the Cherno OpenGL. I see it in my Yeah, it's in my search because I always go back. This is a great, to be honest, it's a great reference if you want to go back to it. I also go to code with Ben graphics. I think it's C++, something like this. Guy's named Kevin or Ben, I forgot. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this one, making games with Ben. This playlist is really great reference to go back to, as this playlist uses like a lot of libraries that you won't really use, but it actually provides you a really good knowledge to build your own using the libraries that you choose. But I built upon it, yeah. So making games with Ben and the channel, I really highly recommend that you watch both series. First the channel, then making games with Ben, because the channel goes into a lot of details into it. And the electricity just went out. Alright, let's continue. So yeah, I intended to create it for the sake of learning, but I thought why not share it as a milestone to look back into the future. So I explicitly also mentioned that this library only works for Windows, and then installation points or steps. Clone the repository like I just did. Let's clone the repository into the desktop, and then run generate sandbox.paths, which is this file here. Like I mentioned, this file here, what it calls this, and it copies the assets into sandbox, because you'll need these assets for customization. You need it. And yeah, if you have a different version of VS 2019, like I mentioned here, you can like download the VS 2019 build tools, then you can convert it to your own version, or you can easily just go in here and change this. You can like change it to 2017 or 2022. I think that's the latest. I think it even works on 2010, I think. But yeah. Oh, it only goes back. 2019. I have Visual Studio 2019 because I actually like Visual Studio 2019. I don't think it needs to be anything other than that. Like I mean, 2022 has really nice features, but it's not necessary to learn anything about programming. And yeah, after you run it, let me run it for you. I'm just gonna run it. Double click. As you can see, what it does, it generates the solution file, then it copies this asset directory inside the sandbox directory, and then it copies this freetype.dll, because I'm using freetype for font decoding, into sandbox. Let's see, assets and freetype.dll, and these two files are generated when I create the solution. So press indicate to continue. If you go back, you can hit there and you can open it using solution. If I open assets, you can see there are only some things in here. I mean, thumbs, I don't think I need that. I'm just gonna delete it. Yeah. But yeah, test, font, default, debug shader is for debugging, or you can use it for shape, like drawing a circle, drawing a rectangle, and all that, or a line. Default shader for default of the sprites. You can open it and customize it as you want. I'll open it in a minute. And the font shader. Font shader is for fonts. Okay. I don't have SDF font techniques yet. It's really primitive. Like I said, I don't really have anything that big of a graphics knowledge, but I use what I already have to build this. So anyone out there who already has a graphics knowledge, if they have spent working on graphics for like more than 3 months, then they have way more knowledge than me. So sorry it's taking a while. Like I said, it's not that great of a computer, but it's sufficient. In the meantime, while it opens, let's go through the docs. Like as you can see here, you can browse through every necessary component in my framework, and then you can see after the installation you have example. You open example. This example show you how to write a simple application that displays a rotating outline square in the middle of the screen. Supported to make sure that every Playground2D application starts by creating a world or accepts layers. I'll name them scenes because I intended at the beginning for this to be a game framework, but now I realize why not just create it as a graphics framework. The world creates a window for you in which you provide a struct that contains properties with height, etc. As you can see, if you scroll down beneath the code, see creating this. This is the result of the code above, and all you need to this is all inside the main C++ file. You don't need anything else, just this. And these are the steps mentioned below. If you like to code it yourself, you'd like to follow the steps one by one, it's necessary. As you can see, the solution created allowed me to build this, like to create the generate sandbox.bat creates this solution, which is the Playground2D solution. Playground2D solution has two projects: the Playground2D, which is the framework, and Sandbox, where you can create anything you want inside it, or not you want, anything that the framework allows you to create. That's a really vague statement. So if I open main.cpp, as you can see, I already have examples. I have single example for now, but in the future I'll add to that. But for the meantime, I'm only just slowly improving the Playground2D framework. Not critically. I only created the example, as you can see. It's called image rect. I only created the example as a showcase. So what happens is that the way you create anything that has to do with Word, first you need to define Playground2D. Then you include Playground2D.h, and for maths I'm using actually GLM. That's the main thing I'm using. I don't need it here, I think. I'll remove it later on. I'll just remove it. It takes a lot of time. I'm using Enterprise. I don't know why I chose Enterprise. I should have chose just Community. Now I need to download this again from sites. My internet isn't that great, so it'll take a while. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you gotta use what they give you, right? I mean, a trial is a trial. You're not gonna lose anything by trying the Visual Studio Enterprise. It gives you nice features for Git, actually. Like it shows you which ones are submitted and which are not. And holy wow, God, takes a while. Alright, in the meantime, let's look through directory, through the example. As you can see, you define Playground2D and you include Playground2D.h. I'm using GLM for maths, but I'm gonna write my own math library in the future, so we're gonna get rid of that using namespace pg2d, or if you don't need to use it, you can just write pg2d, like pg2d camera, for example. You need to define it that, but I'm using this for convenience. So the way you do anything first is that you create a scene, like a subclass of a scene. This scene is the one that's gonna include anything you want. As you can see, it's create the it shows you which ones are good, which ones are not. Right? Yeah, we don't need. Yeah, get rid of it. Good. As you can see here, you create a scene. Scroll down. Where's there it is. The way this example works, that is subclass of a scene. As you can see, it has an onStart method, an onUpdate method, an onDraw method, and also an onEvent method. And to do anything, we can like first build the framework. It's gonna take like, I mean, normally when I'm not recording, it takes like 2 minutes. Alright, just wait for it. Okay, so if you can scroll down to the steps, as you can see, like I said, define Playground2D. This defines necessary macro inside the framework in order for OpenGL to initiate. To be honest with you, it only defines glue underscore static, or what was it? Yeah, glue underscore static. But I don't want the client to have to do anything with glue, so I just have this wrapped up inside of a macro Playground2D. Yeah, in the future I'm gonna add to it more macros, but for now it's okay. Include playground, like I said, and GLM for this particular example. Declare using namespace pg2d. All classes in playground are enclosed in namespaces. Okay, still combining. And the namespace pg2d. I think only time is wrapped up inside pg2d colon time. But for now, so pg2d. Create a class that is public subclass of scene. As you can see, class rotating square is a public subclass of scene. It has its own constructor that inherits the scene constructor, and rotating square, as usual, is I added that as a precautionary. I'm not that great at C++, but I'm improving. We all need to create something in order to improve. So we start this by creating a scene. Let's ignore the rest of this for now. Let's scroll down to the main function, int main, like every C++ has an int main. Every C++ project, of course. So in this, the way I do that is that I create a word called word. It takes in window properties. So I create a window property structure. Takes in a width of the window, height of the window, the label of the window, and a configuration. For now I'm setting for this example unresizable. I don't want to be resize the window. And the way I do that is that to add the scene above is that I need to register the scene. Do I register that? I register it in the scenes list. So I register the scene, I create a new rotating square, then I add the scene to the world using the name. As you can see, here's the name of the scene I created to add it. And the way I did that is so that you can register scenes, and later on throughout runtime you can add or remove scenes as you want. So if you have a scene of a player, you add the player, or enemy. For example, you have a scene of enemy, you add enemy, and the enemy dies, remove enemy. That's key. Like you can say like owner word, remove scene, and you can see this dot name, for example, and it removes the current scene, or this dot index. Yeah. I don't think I have the index now, but I'm gonna add it definitely because it's really useful. So yeah, it compiled everything. It compiled the Playground2D now. Let's compile and run our sandbox project. So this image rec text is quite, it's not just quite, it's actually really simple. Like I built it in my free time, like 3 or 4 days. Like I was working something using Unity. In my free time I'll just write it out. I also learned some stuff from it, like using callbacks and all that. I used callbacks to do a pseudo UI event. Pseudo UI events, I mean by that is that like on mouse click, on mouse release, and on mouse drag, something like that. Like when you drag in the element, the image rect, and when you click on it and you not. So yeah, so if you like experiment a lot, this is the example now. You see this is surrounded by circles, small circles, and in the center you probably not see it because of the color. You need to change that, or you need to change that. You change it, or you know. But you can see that it has a circle as well. When you hover over it, it changes color. Like in here, to hover over it, it changes to a different color. The way that is that you hover over it, you move it, and it moves around like a sort of a paint or any photo editing or something you do. You can change the size. You can see now, if I move it, you can see this. Like if I release, it has it, and if I click and drag it around, and you can have multiple ones of it. If you go to the main scene, as you can see, like for now I only, where is it, where am I? I'm at the don't start here. I want to have two, one, let's add 5. Let's open it up. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I hover over them, I don't like trigger them, like move them with my mouse and I on top of them. You can see I move this one individually and resize it individually and resize the one below it individually as well. It's cool, yeah. This is the example provided. I provide more examples in the future. Like I want to provide like a raycast one and a circle collision, etc. But for now this is sufficient. So for testing purposes now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete this, right? And I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna Control C, Control V. Alright. So this is supposed to give us this result. So let's find out. Hopefully it doesn't crash. It would be really embarrassing. Yeah, alright, works. Right, so it gives us this one. You can obviously, like you have the console. It says it outputs something whenever you create a world in debug configurations. It gives you a generated window name and dimensions. Yeah. So yeah, it works. The way it works, let's go through the steps and how we create something out of it. So I'm gonna go around here. Like I said before, create a class, subclass, you inherit the scene, and you provide the parameters, and you let's ignore the rest for now. Let's go down to the int main, create a world with a window, properties, structure that takes in a width, height, a window label, like the one here. This is the window label, and the configuration for now I want it to be unresizable. We register the scene, rotating scene we created above, and we add the scene, and then we call run. Now let's go back up. So you have 4 methods you can override in your scene. The onStart is called when you start when you started the scene. Although it's not called for now when you add scene through during runtime, but I need to do that. It's simple. I'm just gonna modify it and do that. We'll have the onUpdate. It's called every frame before you draw anything, and you have onDraw. It's called every frame when you draw something, and you have onEvent whenever an event happens in the window. So an event by that I mean like when I move my mouse, when I click and release, when I although I can't resize because I'm resizable. When I exit, when I press a key. Let's for example test it out. I have a way to output anything I want, so it's called Playground or underscore, and we just need to trace it. It's gonna output it in a white color to the console. What do we want to trace? We want to trace E, which is the event. We have a method to change the event to a string. And let's check it out. Oh yeah, a colon. Semicolon. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Again. It's gonna be going on for quite a while, right? Yeah, 24 minutes. It's too much. Guess like 40-45 minutes I'm gonna stop. Okay, it doesn't take someone that's smart to understand it. So as you can see, it outputs whenever I move my mouse. When I press a key, it's outputs the repeats. Is it repeated? Yes, repeated. The numbers, for example, if I don't have resizing them, yeah. Wait, let's make it resizable. So I'm just gonna say none. I don't want any configuration to the window. So yeah. So when I move it, mouse, when I resize it, window resize event. This is the new side of the window, and the camera updates to the window size. Yeah. We don't need that anymore. Alright, so what I'm doing to create this example is that I create a Playground2D, it's called the class. What I do is that I initialize the camera. It needs a window so that it can grab the width and the height, a window pointer to be exact. It grabs the width and the height in real time, and you need to update it, the camera itself, in on update. And that's the camera. That's how you create it. How they create? That's like the thing that moves around. It needs to do it again because PG that uses SPD log, like PG here trace. SPD log is quite big, so it resizes. Yeah. So this is the rect that shows anything on the window. Is the camera. You can rescale it. You can point it out. You can even like move it. Anything you want. It's a camera after all. So you create a camera. Yeah. So how do you render anything on top of it? To render anything, you have three main classes for rendering. The first one is shape batch, raises shapes for now, like rectangles, circles, and lines. For now, I didn't have any like polygonal shape on top of it. I'm gonna add like a hexagon and hectagon, pentagon. Like you can specify the number of things, the number of vertices around it. And you have something else, sprite batch, which is sprite batch. Trend is sprites, obviously. You have something else as well, the font batch. It renders fonts. Font batch. It renders fonts on the screen. Let's try to render something using these after going through M-shape. So let's go through M-shape and then try it. So the way we draw a box or rectangles, just draw box. We provided three, or actually for now 4 parameters. The first one is providing the position. I want it to be centered, so it's origin on 0, and I want to have dimensions 32 by 32 pixels, and then I want the color. I already have a color here. It's white. And the angle I'm doing it is that I have a float angle, and I'm incrementing the angle in on update using delta time, the milliseconds of delta time. I divided by 4 because it's too fast, you know, like a small thing, so it's gonna rotate a lot. Yeah, and then after we draw it, if you run it, you will not have anything. Let's delete this. Let's run it. Check it out. Oh yeah, this needs a font, so I'm just gonna ignore it. It's quite a bit. I think I have the font. I'm just gonna check it out later. Are you serious? God. Yeah. Okay. Alright, as you can see, nothing renders. But why nothing renders? I already said draw box. What's the issue? Well, that's because you need to render the box you already drew. And why I have that render function is because you can make it really fast. You can group like a lot of boxes and a lot of circles, and you can use a single draw call to all the boxes and a single draw call to all the circles instead of a draw call for each box. Make it a lot faster. As well as that, you can render it to specific cameras. So that's how you create a HUD. For example, you can have a stationary camera, which is the HUD. You render the HUD to it, and you can have like a moving camera for the player and all that. Right? You need to provide the width of the length. Let's make it 2. The width of the line. Sorry, the line for each stroke. So if we run it now, after we've rendered it, yeah, as you can see, for instance, I guess a bit like more showing a bit more than the one before, because I think it was 1.0. So yeah, okay, now we have it. Now we want to draw something. We want to draw a sprite. We need a sprite to draw a sprite, right? I already provided a sprite for you in the assets. It's the test one. When you do that, you need to create a texture. So, great. Let's create a texture. What we're gonna call it? Texture. Now we need to load in the texture that we already called. We're gonna load it in the onStart method, so I only load it once. I'm gonna say texture equals, we have a static function for that, which is load PNG. It only loads PNG for now. I'm gonna add like load JPEG or JPEG, sorry, or maybe I'm gonna create my own like a texture file type. So there we have it. Where do we have it? We have it in assets, and it was test.png, I think. Wait, assets.png, yeah. After we've loaded it, we need to draw it as well. You can draw it down there. Same sprite patch. Sprite patch, okay. What do? We say draw sprite. You have two options: draw sprite or draw sprite from left bottom. This one has the center at the center of the sprite. This one has the center as the left bottom of the sprite. So the left bottom is useful if you want to create like a rect, like I did the other one, like the image rect one, because you can specify like the start point and the end point of the sprites. And this one is good if you want to draw like other entities, like random ones. I'm just gonna draw a sprite for now. I'm gonna provide a position. I'm gonna position it above by 64 pixels above the rect, or like it should be, wait, 2, so 0, and then above it's gonna be 64f. My framework uses like minus y is to the bottom and positive y is to the upwards. So we will not want dimensions. Can I make it like as big as the other one? You need a UV rect. So if you have like a UV animation, like a sprite sheet, you can like create an animation system for that. But I don't have anything. I'm just gonna do the regular one, which is from the top of the bottom left to the top left. And you need the texture. You already have texture. Don't provide the texture itself, you provide the ID. This cool thing, like the texture itself is a really small struct. Everything is handled by the GPU. The color, we already have a color, provide the color. And like I said, we need to render it. Except in this one, we don't have a line width, because what is the line width of a sprite? It doesn't have a border. You just provide the camera. And if you run it, taking some time. See like a lot of warnings in here. I'm not bothered with that. So yeah, as you can see, if you open the sprites, it's loading in as it is. For now, I only have the sprite loaded in point filtering, But I'm gonna provide like a strict in which you can or an enum in which you can decide if you want to have like a linear filtering, point filtering, or anything other than that. If other you want to have mip mapping and all that. For now it's mip mapping and linear point filtering. Yeah. So the cool thing about that I have as you can see, it has an angle here, but this one doesn't have an angle. Why that? Because you can also like remove the angle from here. These are two separate functions. This was a function that doesn't take an angle. There's another one that takes an angle. So if you open it, you're gonna see the cube doesn't rotate. It's not gonna give us an error because there's no angle. As you can see, you can provide the angle to the other one. You can move it here, angle, and let's watch it rotate. Okay, of course the rotation is like anti-clockwise because, you know. See, cool, right? Oh wait, I want to make the camera zoom in. Right, I want to make the camera zoom in and out, zoom in and out. So this is something you could do. You could just like change the scale of the camera. You have the camera, that says scale. Okay, what do we want the scale to be? Okay, so we want it to be like a linear forward and backward, linear forward backward. So that's like a sine function, up and down, up and down. You can do that by including math at h. You can set the scale to be sine of owner world. You have in an owner world you have time since the initialization of the where is it, initialize time since initialization. Yes, gives you the time since the initialization, and we need to amplify that by like if we zoom in 32, let's simplify that by like 16. So it zooms in 16 pixels, so it's half everything with the one size. Just check it out. So it's gonna zoom in, zoom out, zoom in and zoom out. See? Zooms in, zooms out. Oh yeah. That's because the sign gets in the negative aspects of it. So probably we need to how to do that? Was it like plus 1.0? Yeah, plus or yeah, 1.0f, then divide by 2. Yes. I think it was like that. Because you know science goes to the peak or the positive, then the peak, the negative. That's why it like flips around. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit too big. Let's make it like 4. Zooms in like 4 units. So it's like exponential. It's not everything double in size. Sorry about that. Yeah. In, out, in, yeah. So I didn't like really make it. I just how to see it, like it just I've set it upwards, so it goes to 0 and then to 3 to 4, I think 0 to 4, 0 4 and so on. Yeah. Yeah, so this I make the screen. Okay, the screen now moves in and out, in and out, in and out. Sorry about that. I already need to. It's still on my mind. How do I normalize? Wait, make sign 0 to 1. So I push it away from 0 and towards. Okay, so plus. sorry, I'm bad at math. Make sign between 0 and 1. Whatever, I'm just gonna add something in here. I'm just gonna make it like 0.5 so it doesn't become 0 scale. Everything becomes 0. It's like at least half scale and I can see something. So good. Yeah, it's in. Yeah, okay. So, sorry about the exit. So, for example, like I want to render this rect. I want it to be like rendered to the window coordinates, like in here. I want it to be rendered here. How do I do that? The cool thing is I already have a HUD camera class for that. It's basically like a camera, but instead of the origin having it at 0, okay, origin having it at minus half the screen, half width, I have the origin like the bottom left of the camera out at 0, instead of 0 being at the center of the camera. I'm just gonna call it HUD camera, whatever. I like the usual. We initialize the camera. HUD camera text in is quite the same thing. Camera 2D. Or HUD camera actually. You know, it takes in from the owner word, which word owns this scene. You get the window, a pointer towards the window, and we update it. In HUD camera. Update. Okay. Want to render. This is a cool thing. For that to happen, I only need to do what? Change the camera. That's it. It's gonna stick like only a quarter of it into the screen because I have it at 0, and you can I told you the 0 in this camera is like to the bottom left instead of the center. See, it only has like sticking halfway in. So I'm gonna move this by half the scale by 16. 24 for just a bit of margin between the edge of the window. Hooray! So just like that, easily you have a HUD. You can display anything you want on top of it. That's the cool thing I was gonna talk about. Like we have a font badge. The thing with the font badge is we go up in the framework, it takes in two things as parameters. It takes in a font path. We need to provide that a font. I haven't created a font, so I need to provide one. You need to provide one. And it takes in a font badge settings. For now, the settings are simple. It takes in like font size and the line height. So yeah, we have this. We need to provide it with a font badge. For your font, I think I have a font. Let me check it out. See here. You can see I was originally developing it here. So now no, it's not. Let's download the font. Okay, let's download the font. Font. CC fonts. Find this project and access. Okay, unlimited access. Why not? Just simple like Arial and anything. Hell no. Okay. 1001. ألف ليلة وليلة. Okay, something like silly. This seems silly. Let's download it. Free for personal use. I'm using it for personal things. I'm not doing anything with it. It's comic cartoon handwriting. Yeah, kind of. Okay, like I said, my internet is quite bad. As you can see, download the Visual Studio setup so I can download like the community version. come on, dude. Yeah. No, come on. I think I'm gonna reach the hour. Yeah, I'm gonna reach the hour mark by now. So I think I'm gonna stop like 15 or 10 minutes. But you can see. Yeah, finally. Right. Nimble Bear is called. It's like I told you. In order to do that, you need to sandbox, go into assets, and provide it in the assets here. Like preferable, because this is like anything that will be distributed inside your final project will be in here. I'm gonna delete this because I don't need it. I think it's, I don't know. Maybe this is like a, yeah, I think this is like a virus I have. Yeah. Nimble Bear, what thank you, Windrar. TTF, it takes in a TTF. Doesn't take in ATF for now. It only takes in true type. So I don't have Unicode. It's a bummer. I'm gonna add it. It's like really complicated for me. So it's in the assets and it's called this Nimble Bear TTF. So I'm gonna provide it here. Assets. Nimble Bear TTF. Right. I think it works enough. Yeah, it works. So if we group these together, get the sense of scale. I'm gonna have it to be drawn on the HUD as well. So I'm just gonna say font badge dot drawstring. Can draw a string. I'm gonna provide like this is text. Where do you want to draw it? Let's draw it like to the top of the window. It's gonna be a GL big 2. I'm gonna give it some margin. It's gonna be. It's important to mention like this position is like to the left of the text, the position of the bottom left of the text. So like this is the margin from the left, and the info margin from the window. I'm gonna have it to the top to be. It's gonna be like the owner word. Get window. Owner world, yeah. Get window, whatever. That's get height, and then minus. Gonna like move it down by 32 pixels. Then what? Do you need a color? We already have colors. Private color. What's the issue? Oh, yeah. This is scale. So it's 32 pixels, and we have it at 32 font size. I'm just gonna have it scale at 105. Although maybe I need to have it like 32. This I think I need like to have when it's 32. I need to have like pixel per pixel. So maybe 32. Let's probably 32. Font batch dot render. Render. We provided the camera with camera. Right. Start out. Hopefully. Oh, 13 seconds to build it. I really need to work on this. Yeah, alright. So you can see it rendered the text to the top of the screen, to the top of the window, and to the window itself as I had. And the cool thing I have in this is that you can have it actually to be on another like a line by providing the /n, which is like if anyone have ever used stdout or printf, then you'll be like familiar with this. if everyone have ever worked C++, let's say. Alright, can you see? It goes on in the second line. Nice. I can do something really cool about this. You can like get the mouse position. So create a mouse position, load glm vector2 because it's a mouse position vector2, mouse world mouse position. Yeah, known as world, let's say HUD mouse position. Right, it's called HUD mouse position. Let's make this backup. What's the issue? glm vector expected semicolon, and you have semicolon. What's the issue? glm vector. Maybe I really will switch to a community because Enterprise is really big. You're really an idiot. That's mistaken, I think. Oh, sorry. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot, not. Sorry about that. So, we want to get the HUD position, the position of the camera, or position of the mouse. So, do something really simple. Just say HUD position. It's gonna equal underscore HUD camera dot screen point world. Which world? The world of the HUD. What do we want? We want to get the mouse position, so it's gonna be mouse position, input mouse position. And what we want to do is that whenever there's a mouse position movement event, whenever the mouse moves, I want to move the text, or actually I want to move the rectangle to be at the position of the mouse. It's quite like complex, but not really. All we need to do is to create a, instead of having it at glm vec2, just gonna have it at HUD mouse position. Oh wait, missed this one, sorry. Dropbox, HUD mouse position. So whenever we move a mouse, this is gonna change. It's gonna change the position of the box. It's gonna say if e dot get event type. What's the event type? Is equals to event type electricity again. Anyway, event type mouse moved. Whenever it's in a mouse moves event, like whenever the mouse is moved inside the window. I think it also applies outside the window. Whenever that moves, we want to have it be this. So whenever the mouse moves, I want to have HUD position equals the mouse position in the HUD camera viewport. So let's try that. God. I'm gonna stop before, I want to stop before 60 minutes. It's gonna be real. See? Yeah! Whenever there's a mouse movement event, I move the rectangle. Yeah, it doesn't apply offside. Okay. Alright, yeah. Alright. What you think about that? You can do other things, right? We can like say what can we do? We can do a lot of stuff with the input. I'm gonna say whenever I press the space key, I want to move the sprite upwards. So I'm gonna say static glm vec2 sprite position will be glm vec2 for now, same as the position here. So I'm gonna replace this by this. I'm gonna say if input dot is key pressed, what key? playground space key, pg key space. Okay. Whenever this is pressed, I want sprite position dot y to be offset by 16 pixels. Let's try that whenever I press the key, and don't forget when it's also whenever the key is like repeated, so it will move really fast. I'll probably need to add like a like if you want to have it like only if is it just pressed, you probably need like type it on event inside of it on event. Like if event is key pressed, and if it's key pressed space, then I want to increment it. So see, it moves up. Right. If you want to have it like a, if you want to have like a key pressed like only once, like if I hold the key, I don't want to move, then it's gonna be like this. I move it outside the scope of on a draw. I'm gonna say if e dot get event type key pressed. Whenever key pressed, I want to offset this. I don't need this anymore. Whenever any key is pressed, I can also specify the key. I'm gonna say if input mouse is key pressed, what key pressed is gonna be pg key space. Whenever is the space key pressed, whenever the key is space key is pressed, then it'll move upwards 16 units or 16 pixels or whatever you moved it. Once, it's not gonna move like all the time. Like when it's inside here, let's say, see? Oh yeah, I have the repeat one. Sorry, I have the repeat one. It's probably I need to modify this alert, change this to key release so that it doesn't drag all that. I probably need to is key just pressed. I probably need to add that to the input class. I don't think this will be that hard, but so whenever I release, this is the issue, right? Because it's a key release, and I check if the key space is pressed. Oh, it's a key release anyway. So let's just make it like if any key is released, any key on the keyboard. Try that. Beep. Spell my name, MHA, MED, and I can say, yeah, and this moves. Yeah, so you can do a lot of stuff with it. Experiment, you know. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shout out to my boy JavidX9. I'm gonna follow his tutorials for a lot of stuff like collision and panning and zooming. It's really cool things. JavidX9. I already did the circle collision in another version of this Playground2D. I have it uploaded to my YouTube. It does really cool stuff, and my idea of having the class or the scene here inside the main is like actually comes from he has a library. It's a single header library called Pixel Game Engine. It's really cool. Like everything is done inside of. You only need to copy a single file instead of my own humongous type of thing. So yeah, I already like I said, I already built this. I already move this. So let's see it as a distributable. I want a distributable. So let's switch to release. Right. To switch to release, and then I'm gonna build. Oh yeah, probably gonna build the engine itself or the framework, just because it builds it in a release, so it's gonna take a while. So let's check it out when it happens. The cool thing is that we already have the debug version. I believe it's only being built now. But if you this file didn't exist, and only exists after I built it. So if you open it, you open the debug version, you have the Playground2D lib file for the debug, and you have the sandbox. Wait a second. Oh yeah. I need to add something as well. I'm gonna add it right after this video. I'm gonna add it so that it copies freetype.dll. Freetype.dll. Yeah, that's necessary. Yeah. Moves out. Good thing. Let's copy this sandbox. Let's go, for example, in D or in E. This. Paste it here. Or where's sandbox? Open it. Pop. It works. Like, it's not confined to the engine itself. It's a distributable. Alright. It's finished. It's finished compiling. Playground2D is compiling sandbox for now. Shouldn't take a while. I have like a post build command that it copies assets, but I forgot to add post build command to copy freetype.dll. I'm gonna add it right after this video, so you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about copying anything. Like if you want to distribute anything, what you do, go to bin, go to your release, sandbox, copy, paste somewhere else, and then change the name. You see the assets are here. They're not encrypted. It's an open source project. I don't know how to encrypt anything like that. I barely just learned how to create a framework. So yeah, let's for example, let's copy the sandbox and put it in the desktop. Of course, the sandbox is gonna be a lot less heavy. Like it takes a lot less memory because it doesn't have the precautions in the debug. I think my desktop just crashed. Yeah, right, fuck. Right, I don't have freetype.dll, just gonna copy it. Don't worry about this. I'm gonna, like this copying procedure, I'm just gonna add it after this video, so you don't need to worry about this. Just copy and paste, yeah. Beep. So, it works. By the way, the release doesn't have any output. You have 4 main output ways, let's say, with respect to debug. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go to on event. You have 2 main outputs. You have like a first one, like we showcased, trace. Takes in a string. Takes in a string. Takes in anything actually. If you have something like C#, when you have between brackets, 0 and this 1, you have it like variables you want to have, like sprite position x and sprite position y. We don't really need that in here. Gonna have it in the update so that shows every frame. So this is trace. It showcases a white text, like the normal output of stdout or printf. You can see outputs the position of the sprite. This one, of course, changes when I release any key. So this changed trace. We wanted to have green things, like if you want to approve of something and have it be green, or like this worked, so it was green text. It's like mainly for debugging, like I said. You open it, see, it's in green. Gonna have to be yellow, like a warnings, like all the things we ignore in this software. BG warn. It's gonna be yellow. Okay, yellow. Beep beep. I also have error, which is gonna shows everything. If you like, it shows the output as in a red color, and actually use it with info to create another function. That will be that's quite useful. I also showcase some lag here because my laptop. So I have something else. I have a fifth one, which is pg assert. What assert does, it takes in a boolean, checks that the boolean is true. It outputs green text. If boolean is false, it outputs red text. So what is the start position of sprite position? The start position as this, right? Gonna say just if sprite position equals this, it's gonna output in green. If it doesn't equal this, it's gonna output in red. So whenever this key, it's gonna be red for the rest of the application. See, it's green. Whenever we release a key, now it doesn't equal, the white doesn't equal 64, so it changed. So it's in green, in red, sorry. So yeah, these are the main things you'll use. Oh, actually, let's go back here. Let's go to release to show you that everything that has to do with debugging and outputs, it doesn't work in release. I have it so that it's like distributable. Although that's probably like something, but I need to like have a third configuration, which is distribution. It's mainly for like distributing the application. See, no output, nothing, not even the creation of the world. So yeah, that's it. That's what I have. You can scroll through the project here. If you have questions about any function, you can find all the public function of every class struct I have here. Every struct I have, like for example, what is it? RGBA8. It's just a simple struct of assigned chars RGBA. It's like an 8-bit RGBA. What is an event? Showcase the event. And this is how the event is written. These are the functions that has public function. That goes in like after and before and after. What's the window results event? It's an event. It's a class that subclass of event takes in a width and a height of the. And you can get the width and height of the event itself. Say window close event. Also window close event happens when you press the X. Closing key event and also also go down. What's a render patch? What's a sprite? How does a sprite patch work? Okay, how does this draw sprite from left bottom? What are the parameters? I have it written down here. It's not a thorough documentation, but it's necessary to build what you want to debug with. And if you have anything, to ask me of, please email me or anything. Go to my Twitter or go to my email. I'm gonna provide my email in here in this README file. If you have anything, you can contact me there. If you want to contribute, I'll be happy. I'm happy to contribute. If you have issues, go to the issues page. I'll be happy to show you my support. But first and foremost, this is not a project that I'm intended to publish. This is a project that I'm intended to create for my own sake. Yeah, that's it. And thank you for everything. By the way, these documentations are also, if you just go .com, change this to .com and remove this, then you can go to the something in here, right? Playground2D, here it is. Yeah. This documentation also depends. These docs use Google Code Prettify. This is how I showcase the code, highlighted. And you can also contribute to this one. I'll be happy if you contribute to the documentation, although that I'll be the one maintaining it for most of the time. Yeah, so thank you for sticking around. I'm sorry if I've been long on you, but I really wanted to document my journey. And yeah. Oh, before I do anything, I need to show you what I'm using. Pre-make, of course, for packaging. glue for OpenGL is a wrangler, like a wrapper around OpenGL. AutoGL theory for windowing input, like all the events, all built based upon the events that GLFW provide. GLM for mathematics, although I'm pretty sure that'll in the near future I will remove this. STB image for decoding images on PRG for now. Free type for decoding fonts, and SPD log for the logging and the outputting of the console. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you soon.